Family, the Center for Brooklyn History would cordially like to invite you to join them with the award winning filmmaker, Yoruba Richin, the one in the middle, right there, on an exploration of reparations in America. The Cost of Inheritance offers an eye opening journey from personal to national reparations, shedding light on our shared history. Family, I have a strong feeling I know where this conversation is going to go. So I'm not sure if I can make it. I'm going to need the family to show up for this. It's going to be at the Center for Brooklyn History on Monday, March 24th at 6:30 to 8 p.m. at 128 Pierpont Street in Brooklyn, 11208. I'm going to put the link to everything in the description. Family, I already know where this conversation is going. I did a little research, just a little research, right? And of course, the first question was, who's her people, right? Because we have been showing up at these places and letting them know that that we have been letting them know that we are tired of people who were not in the country at the time of our enslavement dictating, leading the conversation, dealing with our reparations. We are tired of other groups hopping on our back and using us like donkeys as they ride off into the sunset with all the benefits they get off of our civil rights. So, as we're saying that, they decide to hit us with a 5,000-year-old genie trick. And I've explained, if you haven't heard me explain the 5,000-year-old genie trick, this is it. I was a huge fan of Fairly Odd Parents. And there was an episode of Fairly Odd. If you don't know what Fairly Odd Parents is, a little boy, he has fairy godparents, and because his parents neglect him, and they grant him wishes. And one day he finds a genie in a lamp. He rubs the lamp, the genie comes out. He wants to grant him 3 wishes, but the genie's wishes are rule free because his wishes from the fairies have rules. So the fairies tell him, "Be careful, Timmy, because genies are 5,000 years old."
You have to be careful. Genies are notoriously tricky. They always grant you what you want, but it always bites you in the butt.
And here is the 5,000-year-old genie trick. So he asks for, okay, give me bacon and eggs. So the genie gives him bacon and eggs, but it's in his hand, not in a plate, and it's too hot, and he drops it on the floor. Now he's eating it off the floor. My point is that white supremacy is like a 5,000-year-old genie trick. So, like I said, we have been going to these places and we have been demanding that we have representation. So I did some research on Miss Yoruba, and I found out it says that Miss Yoruba, in this article right here, it says that Miss Yoruba's mother was a foster child and had no knowledge of her biological parents. She had their birth certificates, though. And she knew they migrated from North Carolina and Virginia to New York City. So it doesn't say anything about her father. I wasn't able to find any information about her father, but that is what it says about her mother. Nor was I able to find any information on who raised her mother, who were her foster parents. Okay. So we don't know this person's lineage, and it sounds like maybe she doesn't either, at least half of it. Okay. So we got someone who's questionable, right? But then I did a little more digging, and I was able to find out, without watching all of her documentaries, I was able to find this TED Talk she did about 10 years ago, right? That actually was about one of her documentaries. So just take a look at what she had to say and what her point of view was and everything like that.
I did go on to make that film. It's a documentary film, and it's called The New Black. And it looks at how the African American community is grappling with the gay rights issue in light of the gay marriage movement and this fight over the meaning of civil rights. And I wanted to capture some of this incredible change that was happening. And as luck or politics would have it, another marriage battle started gearing up, this time in Maryland, where African Americans make up 30% of the electorate. So this tension between gay rights and civil rights started to bubble up once again. And I was lucky enough to capture how some people were making the connection between the movements this time. This is a clip of Caress Taylor Hughes and Samantha Masters, two characters in the film, as they hit the streets of Baltimore and try to convince potential voters.
That's what's up, man. It's a righteous man over here.
Okay, are you registered to vote? Okay.
How old are you?
21.
21?
All right.
You gotta get registered to vote. We gotta get you registered to vote.
I ain't voting on my own gay shit, though. Why?
Okay, why? What's up?
It don't even affect me, man.
Right,
Oh,
Joe.
that's not cool.
Vote
So
for
what
it,
made
too.
you be gay?
All right, that's what's up. That's
Right,
what's up.
so what made you be straight?
What made you be
Yeah,
gay?
What made you be
same thing that
straight?
made you be straight.
Right.
That black
came off of this
same
mic.
thing.
You can't answer that question, but you got
I used to not have the same rights as you, but I know that because a black man like yourself stood up for a woman like me, I know that I got the same opportunities. So you as a black man have the opportunity to stand up for somebody else. Whether you're gay or not, these are your brothers and sisters out here, and they need you to represent.
Who is you to tell somebody who they can't have sex with, who they can't be with? They ain't got that power.
Right.
Nobody has that power to say you can't marry that young lady. Who has that power? Nobody.
But you know what? Our state has put the power in your hands, and so what we need you to do is vote for. You gonna vote for 6.
I got you.
Okay? Vote
It's gonna
for
be the 6
6.
thing. And all right, do y'all need community service hours? You do? All right, y'all can always volunteer with us and get community service hours. Y'all want to do that? We feed you. We bring you pizza.
Thank you. What's amazing to me about that clip that we just captured as we were filming is it really shows how Caress understands the history of the civil rights movement, but she's not restricted by it. She doesn't just limit it to Black people. She sees it as a blueprint for expanding rights to gays and lesbians.
Okay. So you see where this is going, right? Her dual allegiance to another community is far more important, because if it wasn't, she would understand that there's no way that you can tie in a sexuality with a skin pigmentation, with a lineage to this land, to slavery, to there's no amount of closet for Black people. We can't choose to step in, step out, hide, nothing. It is not the same. And as we all know, there were plenty of gay people that owned slaves. They may have had to hide, but they owned slaves. Again, no comparison. So because she's trying to compare the two, I want there to be some representation from us in the building. Show up. New York family, if you're available, go down. If you're available Monday the 24th from 6:30 to 8 p.m., go down to the screening and discussion of The Cost of Inheritance. It's going to be, once again, that's 128 Pierpont Street in Brooklyn, at the Center for Brooklyn History. And I recommend that. See, I've gone to these conversations before, and they're not going to let you speak. They're not going to let you ask questions. They're going to say, oh, if you have any questions, write it down on this little index card, and we will ask it at the end. And they're going to take your index card and they're going to throw it in the garbage, especially if you ask good questions, right? Relevant questions. Questions that they don't want to answer. They're just going to take your index card and throw it in the garbage. So they're not going to let you speak. So if you go, bring signs, large signs, letting them know that this woman doesn't speak for us. She might be FBA or may not be, we don't know, but it doesn't matter. Whoever she is and wherever she's from, she don't speak for us. Okay? As I told you guys before, When I went to the other one, it was a sea full of non-melanated people. So they're sitting there having conversations about us, our lineage, and our birthright without us being there. And so I just feel like, especially in this particular situation, I feel like we need to be there with signs. And they put this up last minute. And this is how they do us in New York. They do things like this and they let us know about it last minute because they know. So if you can go, again, that is Monday, March 24th at the Center for Brooklyn History from 6:30 to 8 p.m. at 128 Pierpont Street in Brooklyn. We need to let them know that this is unacceptable, having these voices that don't represent us speak for us. It has to stop. Okay, and don't forget to send emails to all the legislators that we have here in New York about reparations and about repealing that unconstitutional bill and replacing it with the bill that the U.S. Freedmen Project wrote. And also, don't forget, because we hitting them with the 1-2 punch. So the next punch is that you unregister from the Democratic Party. I know a lot of us sat out the election or we voted for Trump. Either way, you know what I'm saying? We hit the Democrats hard the last election. So this is the second part of that. The next leg to our strategy, which was given to me by Keisha from Thorough Black Talk, is to unregister from the Democratic Party. I'll also have the link to that. We need to unregister from the Democratic Party. And you do that by going to the website. I'm going to have that listed below as well. I also added another link of emails to the writers of HR 40. If you want to give them a piece of your mind about HR 40, there's a link to that as well. So make sure you bring your signs, okay? So, because like I said, they're not going to allow you to speak. They're not going to allow you to ask questions, but we need to let it be known that she does not speak for us. So bring signs that say, she does not speak for us, or bring signs that say, she's not our spokesperson. We're not with her. And whatever clever things you could think of. Because we really need to let people know that they're not speaking for us. You might have chosen them. You might have decided to give them all of these accolades and awards, but I never heard of this woman. I never seen none of her documentaries, and I watch a lot of documentaries, including a lot of documentaries on PBS, and I never heard of her. I've never watched any of her documentaries. So we don't validate her. And judging by what I've seen in this TED Talk, I can already tell what she has to say. So let's just come prepared. Because like I said, they're not going to let you speak. So you got to let the signs do the talking for us. We have to let the signs do the talking for us. Okay? Thank you so much. Love y'all.